special claims. Let's see what in here. This is on that squad car. Yeah, this is Sandy sent out an email about. Save us other money. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the special claims for the sheriff's office.
Yep, and I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed. Chris, when did you get a chance? You done reading that? Meetings attended?
Yesterday, did you get a email from Brad about our full-time, part-time employees that didn't get the stipend?
I talked to him on the phone, Friday.
Okay. I talked to him and he sent out an email this morning about
Okay, I
it.
did not see that, but I did talk to him personally.
And my things are at the bottom.
And I can't think of any meetings right offhand.
Yeah, that, and I told him to talk to Paul to come up with a plan with Brad. And like I said, we'll get it figured out, but. So he's supposed to have done that. I had, let's see, what did we have last week? And several meetings. Of course, last night we had our conservation meeting, went good. We got fiber internet at Virginia Grove, and it sounds like a pretty good success this weekend with all the fourth, and a lot of people were taking advantage of it, and I think that's what we want. I had a meeting yesterday at noon with Southeast Regional Planning. We had a noon luncheon. Met with see Brett Schaefer was there, Mark Houston, Mike, Nicole Smith was there, and myself, and we met up there and talked about upcoming projects, like railroads, housing, zoning, some city expansions, just trying to cover all bases, and still looking at Port Authority type of situation, see if that'll help us on funding on a lot of the internet and railroad projects and stuff like that's coming up. Courthouse, still having electrical issues. Yesterday they was tying into, they got the meter on there now and they had like 50 incidents. You starting to see a little bit of it over in your area?
We really don't notice
Because
it.
you don't have the backup.
Maybe that's some of the stuff affecting when our like elections computer just like ties up, but the iVoters is so bad. We don't know if it's just the iVoters or if it's that, so.
So anyway, we're continuing to work on to it. They're gonna do further checks into it, just to make sure there's nothing on the bus bar or oxidation or anything like that on it. But we're still getting it, so we're trying to get it narrowed down. I got that tree down yesterday. I think that's all taken care of now. They were cleaned up because it sounded like they worked on it early in the morning. They had that top come out of that southwest corner.
Yeah, the one that was ribboned off a week.
Yeah. Well, we had that wind the other day.
I didn't hear what you said, yes.
So we got that taken care of. I'm trying to get some other contractors to get competitive bids. I got one, but I want to get a couple more on the sidewalks.
Do you want me to inquire about tuck pointing?
Yeah, who did we use last time?
Schoonovers.
Okay,
That's who I think has done it the past few times. I
Yeah.
think they're really the only ones in the area
Yeah.
to be
Yeah,
considered
They did a good
local.
job.
And
And I
they're out of
noticed
Wilton.
up higher, I looked at that yesterday, it was over there.
Well,
Yeah, we gotta
always,
get that done.
we always have trouble up at the top 2 feet where the parapet walls are.
Yeah,
Plus the sun can hit that the most to dry it
and
out.
then our chimney too, I think they did that last time
No,
too.
when we
We had
roofed it,
storm
we rubber
damage.
coated it, the chimney to stop, so we would have to tuck point.
So, but okay.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that on
I
there.
checked to make sure they were still in business before I asked.
Yeah, I haven't seen them around for a long time.
They are, so I mean, it's online, they still had active numbers and address and stuff, so.
Well, when they were last year, they was here for a long time, but did a good job.
I know I had a couple more meetings last.
Do you want me to include this building too?
Probably hurt to look at it. Not the old
Yes.
jail.
No,
Yeah,
good separate estimate.
yeah, we need to look at that too and do something about that. It's full of mold inside.
Deteriorating fast with the rest of it they would give them.
I can't think of anything else, but that's where we's at. We got the transfer station at night. I think that's it. You reviewed the payroll changes, so that's done.
Did you get a call from Glenn Ball about the pipe out at the transfer station?
It's on the schedule tonight,
He is?
Yeah.
Okay,
on the agenda.
well, I think it needs to be made right.
Oh, it was already taken care of.
Well, the person that got the pipe says he has a receipt on it. It's his.
We give receipt.
I don't know.
See, I didn't have, no involvement.
I know.
Payroll changes is done, meetings attended, special claims is done. Any public input? Nothing? Jeez, guys.
Oh, something here.
They did? What about the jail? What are you thinking about that?
Probably eventually have to take it down.
Really?
The roof's, I guess compromised now, it's leaking. Inside of it, it's just, since it hasn't been heated or cooled or anything like that, it's just getting mold all over it.
Make a park over there, or what would you do?
Parking lot, probably,
Okay.
because we're short on parking spaces here,
On court days, it's like nuts.
Oh,
but we're gonna have to do something. Probably a few $1,000s of steel upstairs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but he-
never been there.
Have you?
I
I worked there for quite a while. Yeah, it's a pretty thick doors. And that's even got the roller bar inside of the bars where you cut through it. It's got like a piece of, that rolls when you try to saw through it like the old fashioned. Here's the local average report. But I don't know, we gotta get that taken care of while we get some funding available. It's not gonna get any cheaper.
No.
Walkline won't been busy. 60 calls a month.
Yeah. I signed that first sheet, but I don't need to. If you want to initial it there.
That special claim.
Okay.
I guess I have one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you gonna talk about Weikert's Landing?
And it'll be on the agenda next week.
Yeah, it's on our agenda this week. What do you want to talk about? What's your questions?
I drove down through Landing Prairie Park yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a sad shape.
Yeah.
Terrible.
See, I haven't been down there since
Nobody would
March.
want to camp there. There is one camper there,
Really?
but they have their own mower. And
Really?
I understand it's been closed. I understand that it's, was high water.
Mississippi's been in and out of it, but the last 3
I
weeks.
get it.
But we should load it before we open it up.
Yes, it's,
I haven't been down there.
you can't walk to the shelter houses
Hmm.
at all.
I gotta run Mustang, I'll run that way today.
I drove down through Snively's and it looks really nice.
Yeah.
The little bit of rain we had, it put some mud on the road. And I was going slow enough, my motorcycle fell over because of slope of the road and everything, but I was just going too slow.
How'd you get that picked up?
I can pick it up. But with the mud on the road and everything, it's like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna get this done.
I'll run down there
Well,
today.
what Weikert's I see is mowed, but I don't know if, most of the time locals do it.
Well,
There's more maintenance locally than,
the reason why I said it is because they talked about it last night at the conservation board meeting. And it seems like they have too much to take care of. The conservation board has too much to take care of, but if Fleming Prairie Park can. No
Yeah.
better than that.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna take on more, but I don't know how much they actually do down there either.
the more local things is done. Someone last summer put hog slats
Yeah.
all over the gravel to make it easier to pull a boat in and out of there. It's
I think that's an
local-
excellent use of those too.
What I hear from locals is, there's a porta potty at Cappy Russell, but there's 20 boats every weekend at Weikert's and 3 at Cappy Russell. Why did we put the porta potty there? Just stuff I hear.
Yeah.
But I have no control over.
Well, maybe that gearbox that went on that loader had something to do with it not getting fixed, but I'll find out.
A brush mower would do better than, that's the first thing that's gotta go through there. I mean, the grass.
We got that attachment that goes onto our loader and it just pulverizes everything up. It's a, what do they call that? It's kind of a brush weed. It eats them up. But the gearbox went out of that. Remember they talked about last night, it was 9,000. So hopefully that was the reason why.
Just go buy a new one.
It was 20,000 last time they checked for a new one.
Yeah.
And it's probably more than that now.
And it's half of it to repair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll drive by there. Thanks for bringing it up. Anything else, guys? Okay. Okay, annual report reviewed. It's pretty impressive when you see ending balances that good.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that 6 years of its industrial.
Yes.
Proud of them. Good job.
But they've been busy, 2 calls a day.
Yeah, but we're running like a business there. Ending balance was 362,916 for local ambulance, and we're usually seeing 3,500, 4,200. So that's very, very good. We're running it like a business, that's very good. And out of that, the year to date, they've had 114 no transport, so there was payout but no income coming in, so. you know. Okay, I'm looking for the auditors, sheriffs, auditors, Tammy's. And that would be number 8.
And the sheriff's is now on 15. And it's just review.
Yep. Just review that. Just review. We need a motion on this.
If we just get that auditor to sell a few more plat books.
I just don't understand
We could
why.
charge people to vote.
There you go, yeah.
Why is plat books sales way off?
No, that's about normal, isn't it? For a quarter, about $100 worth of plat books a
I
quarter.
think that ought to be like 14,000 every quarter.
And then we could take Beacon off for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it would go up for sure.
Oh, boy. The treasures, we brought in
Not
97,000.
Every quarter.
Recorders.
I mean, that's, you know. But Tammy's here, we brought in 97,000, but had to give 76 to the state. Need a whole 21,000. About played for one,
I'm gonna do the motion on number 8, please.
Yep, I'll make a motion to approve the auditors and recorders' fourth quarter reports.
And I will second that. All in favor? Aye. Aye, motion passed.
Yeah.
I don't need to sign. Okay. You got the sheriff, so it's just a review. Number 15.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, you get it, and that's on more of that. Because that was an official scout. This was just, my uncle was there, so we. Yeah. 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 Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Sheriff's.
Gavin?
Morning, sir. How you doing?
All right, I guess.
Good.
All right, so you guys ready for me?
Yeah,
Please.
have at it.
So,
Please.
okay, construction projects going on out there. Looking to pour the bridge deck for the Whiteley Bridge there tomorrow morning, starting at 6:30 or something. And get that done in the morning. They'll do that one, and then they'll move on to the next one. They'll come back and do the approaches. So I have to let the concrete cure for 5 days on the bridge deck. And they come back and do the approaches. So, you know, we're still probably angling towards the end of July to have that first one done. So, so that's going on, and after that one's done, they'll keep G20 and G44X, so. Making progress, but it's a little bit slow. The work on X61 is just finishing up, so they're done. They have to go do a couple punch list things here. They're about done. So. Other things going on. We're doing some repair work on F Avenue or around the power plant. They're asphalt mugging. They're throwing asphalt in there and rolling that out. And they're putting that slag seal coat on top of it and getting that done. So, it's progress there. We'll look into.
Are you doing the east-west road?
No.
Or the north-south?
We're doing the curve there at the bottom and then all the way up to the county line.
Oh.
The east-west roads aren't that bad. I think the north-south must have had some rutting or something heck of on us. Frankly, some of the roads could have been hit a couple of years ago and we just didn't get to them. So we get some patching in there and get them covered up. So hopefully that'll waterfall will run off the sides and not go through and break it up. So last week I met with the mayor and clerk from Grandview to inform them that those roads are ours now, and at this juncture we don't intend to change much or anything right now. And in the future, we have plans to do some work in town there, and maybe eventually turn that north-south road to that Jefferson or Jackson. I forget which one. So maybe that Jefferson or Jackson, the north X or G44X in town. Jackson. So that one, we may swap over to 160th at dusk sometime for a farm market. So. Anyway, just touch base with them and let them know, their portion of the road fund is going to the county, and that's what it is that covers. So,
And their obligation to upkeep it. Seems also
right. So that's I asked them, before we do anything out there, if you have any utility problems, let's get those fixed, or at least let's have some conversations about those. And I said, we'll do the same deal we're trying to do with Let's, is that we'll take care of the roads. If there's a utility underneath, that's yours. And then we'll work with them on the sidewalks off and on as much as we can, and kind of trying to get them to, if complaining about something comes, that they kind of know what the situation is before. What I'm saying. So we have that deal a couple of years ago on Let's, where they decided to not plow their alleys, right? And then people couldn't get to their garages and then park on the street. We had this whole thing where we couldn't plow the roads because everybody's parked in the street, and we asked them, and just to be aware of things like that can have secondary consequences. So other than that, we are maintenance wise, we're just finished up at Rookville, did a little work out there maybe on Purdy's. We're heading up onto H Avenue and doing some work there now. Next Monday we'll do that W Avenue triple tank car. We're replacing that old box culvert that's about EVA wide over it. So that'll be our thing for next week. Other than that, not a lot going on. Had some rain lately.
Some places a lot.
Not as much as up north. Not as much up. So that's good.
Did the island receive that same 4 inches, 4+?
No.
It was further uptown.
Yeah, I was talking to my father, and we said where, I don't know if you guys know where, well, one of the houses on Burlington Road, east of 51. The first house down there got an inch, and about a mile or two down, they got about 3 inches of rain. That there was that much difference in that little area. So
I see pictures of Muscatine.
yeah.
Then they got a big rain yesterday too.
Mhm. Good for
Problem is,
them.
everything they get, we get coming down our way.
Yeah. Drove over the Cedar yesterday and it looks to be almost bank full, so.
The river here is supposed to come up a foot this week, but then come right back down. like a
Yeah, right.
3-day crest.
Yeah, so. Yeah, well, so. Any questions for me or anything going on, or?
You don't have any blacktop projects coming up, is that one? That's going to West, I was asked about that the other day, and I said it's coming.
Yeah, probably the first week of August is approximately, so. They had originally said that last Monday of July, but with rain and everything, it's. Probably August,
So first week of August, you think?
Yeah, so. I did have some questions about the, bridges, why did you choose to close them all down at once, and the cost savings of doing multiple versus having them under one contract is quite a cost.
Would you say that rent's for per day, it's expensive?
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, tens of thousands of bucks a day, so. So, and as long as a contractor is working within 14 days, we can't really dictate, that kind of stuff.
When's our roadside sprayer? He'll be here like August. September.
For brush?
Yeah.
Yeah, he called me a couple weeks ago and said he'd be down sometime in July to talk to me about it. So.
A suggestion, like last fall where we took the excavator and removed brush, got rid of the canopy, now the little stuff's, it might be a good idea to have, and they're not big areas, but have him hit them before the brush gets old, bigger and harder to kill.
Yeah, I would, that brush is always what exactly is the best way of doing that, I know our guys have been driving around spraying that teasel and a few thistles, but teasels you can see them all.
Yeah, that,
they get sprayed, they do this.
all that droops right over, kills fast. Yeah, I seen him spraying yesterday.
Yeah, generally when we're not busy on construction or surveying or whatever, I'll just have to go spray. So, but yeah, those Dawn Rafer is supposed to come down, I think, end of the month here. So we'll.
Okay, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was the state using up on 61 South yesterday?
I
Did you
don't
see it?
No.
State was out one day.
Oh, the hill loader and the hill, they're doing top and taking some hill
Getting
right
rid of
now.
all that buckbrush and stuff. It's going pretty good clip because I went to Bronx and then came back. After it was probably a 3/4 mile. Going quick.
Yeah.
I hope he gets down there by the bridge when he gets down over the hill, because you can hardly see.
You can't see when you come out of the door.
The country club road.
Yeah, I often joke, I drive around on my roads, there's some brush there that I don't like, but on the DOT, it's like terrible between that and weeds and everything all over the place.
If we could drive 78, we'd see all the diesel patches and they didn't spray last year.
Yeah, I did back when I was working in Muscatine, I designed the van meter site out there on the west end of town, and I didn't know what teasel was, and we had meter seedings and all that. And the next year I got there and I thought, oh, what's all this tall thing? Was that in the native mix? And I learned years later that's teasel. That's an invasive species. it's all over this DOT's thing. So anyway, that's kind of what I know for now. So.
Did you have a Eastern Iowa Light and Power application?
Yes, I forgot it. Well, Terry's gone, so I've been out driving around. I just drove I'll make it back up for you, so. Yeah, that's, there's a cable, X17 from the substation in G36 and X17 up in the northwest. And there's a cable that runs up there, and they're getting, one, that cable's bad and it shorts out a lot, and two, they're getting some more houses up there too, so they're getting more of a draw.
So it's electrical.
Yeah, so, yeah, this is. Yeah, I'll let those grab a ring.
You're good with everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do a motion on it, and then we just, when he brings it back, and if he's good with everything. That's fine.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Eastern Iowa Light and Power application for approval of construction on the Wise County right of way to replace the cable in Union Township. Along X17, how's that?
That's perfect. I'll second that. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passed.
All right, guys.
We're gonna be here till 9:45, so no rush.
I'm at a rush to get there.
Yeah, we got 9:15, we got some good time.
You should read them, what's on my phone.
What this says, we should have always had the grounds listed. When this first came out, we didn't make anything, supervisors, we didn't make anything that allowed you to smoke on the ground, because this basically says all public.
I thought it was like within so many feet of the courthouse, that's why,
They're clear out on.
yeah.
But no,
There's ice straight clear out on the east.
But I think at that point, a lot more people were smoking than what they are now, so I think they just
I just not once I see what his footage, like it says, just says all grounds.
You know,
But I think it passed one time with that, and then I think it did it again. I mean, statewide. And I just think that,
Oh, you think we have to? We just
and
didn't
we have
know.
not,
It sounds like we're supposed to be zero. Yeah, and that little illustration showed the bottom is really correct. If you have them at the end of the sidewalk. Okay, that public right of way. See? With the actual sidewalk.
I've read the sheriff's office. I don't think they go out.
Yeah, and that would have to change with this also. I don't think we have the power to bend the state of this. Hearing more than retirement, that seems like a pretty good, that next year goes into effect, you guys hear that, whether there won't be taxed on your retirement benefits, that's a big deal. That's,
Trying to keep people from coming out of the state.
well, you know, it's effective for Florida.
Yeah.
Cause I know a lot of people that still come back here, but they live 7, 8 months down Florida, they come back here just during the summer.
Bob Schwartz was that when he did this.
Yeah, and it's just for that
And he made
reason.
sure he spent that much time down
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, look how Louisa's that one.
Who wouldn't come back for the gnats and mosquitoes?
Yeah, there's
It's
many
the
other things.
humidity like yesterday, that's what we come back.
Well, the flies are
And the
bad.
corn pollen.
Yeah.
I think
Start.
I'm Brandon.
there.
Well, the gnats just left, now you got the hay fever, corn pollen, those things every morning.
Yeah, our flies are just terrible this year. I sprayed last night and I spray all my properties with a mosquito. It's supposed to get rid of the mosquito that's in the carrier, was not, but I spray all my outside of my properties with it. It kind of irritates it. It works, but don't let on the flies.
No.
We sprayed last night for flies at the motel part, and there was probably 300 or 400 dead on this sidewalk this morning. So just seemed like every year it gets a bit worse.
Horse barn spray.
Mm.
Don't know what does to you, but it kills the flies.
So,
They got a deal now that you saturate a piece of fabric, you put it out on the table, and it's supposed to be, it's expensive, but it's guaranteed for 15 days, and it just annihilates the flies. I'm gonna try it. It's like $36 for a little bottle. See what it is. Find out.
a cowherd, you used to be able to spray them for flies 20 years ago.
Yeah.
About twice a year would do it. Now the stuff they got, you can spray them every week and still not keep.
Yeah, when I had them buffalo longhorns, I had that rubs.
Mm-mm.
Paul, you ready to get started? I think it's.
I'm ready.
How are you doing today?
Terrific. How are you holding up?
Good. Good. Not as good as you, but I'm working on it.
It's good to, every morning when I get to join you, I get to see Chris Ball right in the center of my screen every morning.
And
Couldn't be a better day to start.
And it is Tuesday today, just so. You know,
Yeah. No, I appreciate you changing your board meeting for me. Thank you.
where do you want to start at?
We have a few policies to take a look at. One is, if first one I have up is the Smoke-Free Air Act. So our handbook, previously, we just defaulted back to say, hey, we'll follow the Iowa law related to Smoke-Free Air Act. And then the question came up about vaping, and is that something that the board would want to consider? So since we were just following the law and we didn't have specific handbook language, this would be a way to put it in a written form. If this is acceptable, we would add it to the handbook. So then essentially making it clear to employees that vaping products would be considered within this policy as well.
No, I think we're good with that. We talked about that last week, I think it was, that vaping definitely. Because I think Iowa's changing the rules on vaping facilities, and I read that coming up, so.
Yep.
If there's, if you look at the Smoke-Free Act, and Chris, both and I have this, it shows that, and we've been kind of allowing it on the grounds, but it looks like when this went in, was this updated? Because Sandy and I was talking about, we didn't know previous supervisors made a change in it, but it sounded like it was based on footage. Now it's nothing about footage, it's property itself.
Correct. And I think, so the law doesn't specifically state any certain distance from, geographic distance. So yeah, both of those were taken from the Smoke-Free Air Act website, as well as IDPH, that gives, this should be the most up-to-date information that's in place right now.
So our policy is on any grounds of the county and property. And so we got to just make that clear that it's all grounds. And because I think there were some areas that it was allowed, and we just got to make sure that people get.
Right, and this can be, so the board can designate areas. So that's why that within this policy, it says unless it's designated. So the board has the ability to say, hey, look, we may or may not have people that smoke. And, oftentimes I run into this with jail employees, because they need to stay close. So I've got a number of counties that'll set up a designated area to say, hey, look, if you do smoke, we're going to designate this specific area that's close enough to the building. But so you have the right to designate an area, but unless that's specifically designated, then it would apply to all grounds.
Okay. So where there's ashtrays now, we might want to designate.
Yeah, and that's just because it comes right out and says in front of doorways and stuff like that. It's pretty much off limits. So we have to look at that, especially the complex out the sheriff's office complex is where I think we're referring to.
Yeah.
We'd have to come up with something that's not right in front of a doorway. That's a bad way to have it. And that's the only thing that's covered. So we might have to look at that and provide something away from the door, because I see that's where they usually go, is to the door going and leading into it. That's not the best place to have it. So maybe I can work with, we can work with Brad and come up with a plan.
Good.
Yeah. So we can supersede that ruling. I didn't think we could supersede any of the Iowa laws.
With what ruling?
Well, this says for patios and stuff like that, but when it comes to buildings, connection building, but not limited to sidewalk, driveway immediately adjacent, but not including sidewalk and the public right of way sitting and standing immediately adjacent to the building. But it pretty much says that where did I see that at? Political subdivisions are required to post no smoking signs at every entrance to indoor, outdoor, non-smoking area of public owned properties. And they really say that the entrances to buildings is a no-no, so I don't think we ought to.
Right, correct.
And that's where I was getting at, so if we
Okay.
do something that has to be out of the area where people are commonly walking into.
Correct. Yeah, I think that would be the conversation with the sheriff to say, hey, is there a different location that we can still maintain compliance with the law, but it makes it so it's functional for employees and they would be able to respond quickly if there was an incident within the jail. But yeah, we would have to work within the parameters of the act, but we can set up designated areas if we like to.
Do we have to do one for the non-smokers also, so they have an area to go out and?
I hope not. That's where we're headed though.
Yeah, I know we are. Yep, okay, so that's pretty much, except a few areas cut and dry grounds. Sandy said they currently have an ashtray or
Trash can.
trash can for ash right at the sidewalk, so we're good there at the courthouse. Because that's a public sidewalk.
Secondary roads needs a designated area, something we can ask Adam. on
Adam
that.
when he comes back. But that would be the only thing. Yeah. I can't think of any other areas. Okay, what else we had? Vacation.
Are we adding e-vaping to ours? Then that was the big thing.
Yeah,
was
the
the
vaping was. where-
E-cigarettes and the vaping will
Yeah,
be added to our no smoking policy,
yeah, I think we.
except in those
number nine,
areas.
We want to do that. Motion.
Okay.
And e-cigarettes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we add e-cigarettes and vaping to our smoke-free act policy,
And I
and the
was,
possibility of looking into designating some areas for ashtrays.
out of our entrance areas. Yep. I'll second that. And any other discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
The next issue then would be vacation. We talked last week about amending that, allowing new employees to start with the 40 hours. And then we had a good conversation about when do we put this into effect? And so I reached out to Selena and she provided, the last couple years worth of information related to new hired employees.
Okay.
Now, the policy that was, I believe, approved last week goes into effect, but we would still, it would be an item we would have to negotiate with the unions. So at this point, it doesn't apply to them yet.
Okay.
And then once the board makes a decision on implementation date, then I can take it to the unions, or we could wait until this fall to discuss it there as well. So by looking at that, I think I sent that spreadsheet to everyone. I don't know if you have any thoughts or if a certain date pops in to seem like the most reasonable.
Did Brad make conversation with you? I talked to him Friday. He was gonna call you about some of the part-time.
I didn't get a call from him. I got an email from him this morning about the stipend. But I don't think it was about the vacation.
It was, that was just the stipend. It wasn't about vacation.
Yeah, he had, I'll let you reach out and talk to him. I
Okay.
can't speak for him, but he was concerned about some of his part-time employees that came to like $2,200 worth of, but he said it's something that he would like to discuss with you on that. So if you could reach out on that.
I will.
We have 5 full-time employees that only work about the 20, they get about 1,000 hours a year in. That he's wanting to see them get the stipend prorated. Which
Nice.
one is over in the recorder?
I'm just gonna chime in here. That stipend was a real pain to get through the Tyler system. Selena was on 2 days trying to get the system to take it because it's not set up to do it. It was kind of a one-time shot. And I agree that it was not good that they didn't get it, but that's how it was set up as far as what you guys wanted, because she specifically asked about the part-time people before she did it. So, and one of the people he's talking about is an on-call person, so. And she's behind on payroll, getting the system back to do regular payroll, so. It's not just the flip of the button and issue the checks and flip it back again. Something else to consider. At the end of fiscal year. Okay, I'm done.
One question while you're in yeah, about smoke areas. You have an area out there, according to Iowa law, you can't smoke anywhere from doorways, on premises unless we designate a spot. Supervisor, do you have anything out there that requires that? If any of your buildings?
I think everybody knows the sign that 10 years ago, the Iowa Smoke-Free Air Act prevents any inside smoking.
This is grounds.
Guys aren't supposed to smoke inside their vehicles. On the ground, I don't know. Some people might smoke on the ground, or vape or whatever, but
Once you find out if they do, we need to have a designated area outside of the front entrance, but it has to be designated because grounds is off limits also listed as
okay.
for the Iowa smoke free.
Okay, I'll check into that. I was also gonna ask a question on the what the internet use policy or what.
So that we're gonna be talking about here next.
Okay, I'm gonna go turn the truck off.
Okay.
Well, I'll do that.
That is, we was talking with the engineer.
Okay. Yeah, so with, you know, a couple things, as far as the stipend, I'll talk to Brad about that as well. You know, if we ignore the difficulty in implementing it, and then it's just, yeah, it's up to the Board of Supervisors to determine who should be eligible for that. And so I know that was something that Selena and I discussed, and it was our understanding that it was for full-time people only. But I mean, the board could certainly change their mind. I think in rereading Brad's email, I mean, the way he's got it determined makes sense to me. So if the board were going to go forward and say, hey, let's take care of our part-time folks, that would be the way to do it. But then that has to be balanced with, you know, budgetary issues as well as the difficulty in the auditor's office of trying to get that through. So it doesn't matter to me. I don't know if there are any other part-time employees that could fall under this. You know, I think, you know, you just don't know. You got, I'm sure you have seasonal people in conservation, seasonal people in roads, you know, and are these folks different? Are they considered more of a regular, they're scheduled throughout the year?
I think that's why Brad wanted to put, if they'd worked
At least 3 years, yeah.
3 years.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought, you know, if you get a chance that he could reach out to you or you reach out to him, kind of get I don't want to do a secondhand speak for him, but
Sure.
that's why I also took it to that there was 5 of them, but he's an elected official, and I think you got to try to work it out with you and come up with the best thing and bring it to us.
Sounds good. All right, yeah, I'll reach out. I sent him a quick email just now to find out when he's available today, but I'll follow up yet today. Then with the vacation, really your options are, do you implement it effective July 1 moving forward? You try to backdate it to try to capture some of the employees hired in the last couple of years. As we discussed, there's no perfect answer. It's not something you're going to be able to make everybody happy, but it's a matter of saying what seems to be the most reasonable way to put this into place. So it looks like on that list, what we had somebody in the auditor's office hired on March 30th. So that would be the closest. And then we have conservation hired in 2021, May of 21.
They're already accruing.
Yeah, they're getting vacation now.
Okay, so they're already getting it. Yeah, so I don't know. It's really board decision on what do you think would be the best way to implement this?
I think we had one or, yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Or since the
months.
first of the year.
Yeah, that's what we kind of talked about last week. It's looking back 6 months. We had, I think Randy, you said something about it last week, and I think that's what we was talking about. Over a year, they're already got vacation, so
Right.
we're pretty much with that. But if you go back 6 months,
Make it effective January 1.
yeah, that's kind of the thoughts.
I think during the meeting, we were talking about just making it like July 1, because, I hired in October and we got in the spring. I got hired later, another week of vacation, we got reported.
Well, the guy in October is gonna get a week here coming up. You see what I'm saying? That's just, I think we was kind of, Randy brought it up the other day, we was kind of talking about it. There's really not a good thing, but he's closest one to a year, and then we can go forward from that.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot
I
of-
made this. I
It
mean,
has to go through the union anyway, but
Yeah.
through the union.
well, but you can't really do any.
Yeah.
Thing without. There was a discussion amongst, well, it has to go through, you can't just give something to all the other employees, like a union.
Yeah,
Because
you
then
know,
it
but
treats our individual.
I agree with what you're saying, but we could do what we've been doing, and not do anything about it. And so what it's,
Yeah.
you're gonna hurt some people now, but you gotta look at, it's at least it's moving forward.
Yeah.
And you can't always go back and say, well, you should have, they didn't.
Right, and that's why my compromise is just, well, we had the meeting in June, so just from July 1st.
Well, how about the person that was hired the end of June, that we had one in the treasurer's office, was hired the last week of June, I think it was, wasn't that Vicky?
She started July 5th.
Okay. Okay, so she was hired into June, but did not start.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's not, so, I didn't want to get into where we hired somebody right at the end of June, and we have people leaving and have them.
I don't care that much, but trying to make one person happy is gonna make the next person that's
Yeah.
not happy.
We can't make her.
Yeah.
Never once.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. We can give out millions of dollars a day and it's still somebody say, I want a million more.
$1.5 million. Yeah.
Yeah, what about inflation?
Yeah, inflation too.
And per code, roads can only really negotiate wages.
About pennies.
So therefore, it should just, it's a benefit, right? So it should automatically just be part of it.
Somewhere.
I just say, you guys do what you want, just think of all the ramifications. That's why you got an auditor to audit such a thing. I don't know.
Well, we try to look at what's
Yeah.
most fair to all employees, so it's always in the back of the mind. We don't wanna get that. How about internet policy?
So the internet policy, I included in that cover letter essentially what we have in place, and then just gave another option. So this doesn't have to be the final version, but under where it says option 1 is just a different, I think, policy that dives in more into the current life we lead with the internet. It's intended to address things like bandwidth, and if people are connecting personal phones to the network, it just kind of strengthens overall the intent of the policy. I think the basis is still the same. Hey, de minimis use is okay as long as your supervisor is okay with it. but you don't have any expectation of privacy. And it remains the property of the county. And so I think it's similar to what we had in place, but this would be an example of one that would be a little bit stronger.
A question, before any changes were to happen, will this come to the department and it's just so we can look at it and see kind of what, I mean, every department has a different usage, obviously. I mean, us guys on the roads that have phone and like if it's Google, right? Our Google account at home is linked to here, linked to there. And
Yeah, I have to have my Google account linked here so I can get the Google Docs that everybody insists upon sending me.
yeah,
Even the state employees send stuff through Google, so I have my
yeah.
personal Google so I can get them and fill them out and send back to the state.
Yeah, and
I would like to have John weigh in on it, because I don't want to have a policy that we allow people bringing stuff from home into our system because it could compromise your system.
Yeah.
If you're going to use something like that, I think John ought to make sure that you've got the protection on your phones, that you don't introduce something to our system. But I don't think that we can get your input to John, but I don't want to have this opened up. But, I'm a
Yeah.
supervisor in my department. I allow people to get on slot machines.
well, not like that, but if you're on your Google account at home and you're on the slot machines, it's going to show up in your search history on your Google account and your
I just don't
office.
want to transfer any home
Yeah.
stuff onto the county side.
Yeah.
So I think before we approve this, I'd like to have our IT specialist look at it, because there is some mix and match, but I want to make sure that only certain people that has approval from our IT department can introduce any component to our system. Because we had a company I worked at before, we had somebody bring something in, it's legit, but they introduced a virus that about took us down. And I just want to make sure that we limit the amount of personal equipment linking into our county stuff. I mean, we got compromised, it'd be terrible.
Yeah.
And John would lose sleep for a while.
Yeah.
But how about we just talk to him and then have him talk to the department heads? I just don't think this policy is open to too much discussion besides IT, due to the fact that it's pretty serious.
Yes.
If we compromise public records and stuff like that,
Well,
it
and
could get expensive.
and maybe John would have a better
Yes.
way to do it. Like maybe there's a different Google account sign in for
Exactly.
our work stuff, or whatever.
Yeah, but we have to limit the ability to anybody bringing stuff in
Sure.
to our system. So how about we do that, Paul? Does that sound okay that we would have IT kind of put a spin on this to make sure that we're not
Absolutely.
missing anything?
Yeah, and I'll reach out, if that's okay, I can kind of take the lead on this as well
Sure.
and touch base with, it's John.
We can send you his number.
Perfect. Yeah, do that, and I'll give him a call and tell him what we're going through, what we're looking at, and I'm certain he's going to have some ideas and recommendations as well.
And he can reach out to the department heads and see what equipment that they use at home and bring in. Because I think he needs to, if that's the case, then the county needs to protect that piece of equipment coming into our system.
Right.
This
And cyber, yeah.
is going to be charged if we get compromised.
And I don't know if you guys have run into that at all yet, but I've got some counties where the insurance company, the insurance company that provides cybersecurity insurance,
Yeah.
is requiring a two-factor authorization.
Yeah.
And so then the question comes up of, before you can even log onto your computer, it's going to send you a text to your personal phone.
Yeah.
With this access code. And so that's where we're headed. And I now have questions about, do you have to reimburse employees for the text message and a lot of those others. But yeah, I'll follow up with John and then get back to the board as soon as we have something together.
Yeah, okay.
That way.
I would like to see the details of it, just like you said with the text message. Well, you're getting text on your personal phone, log in your work computer. Is that right? And for us in our computers a lot, you know, every time you step away, every time you go to the bathroom, you gotta log back in and get the new text. And it's, we just want to see the details of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Before we,
Well, that's John.
yeah. So,
He's just saying what's going on up there in the industry. I know when you get into the military, that's what it is. I don't care if you walk away for 3 seconds. So just what it is.
well, and our computers, if you walk away, you have to log back in, and that's, you know, not a big deal. The
Changing
whole-
your password every 20 days is what's stupid. Because I can't
I
remember.
can't.
Write it down.
Hard enough time remembering all that.
State of Iowa.
Well,
pay
and-
taxes. 'cause they're
and-
changing computers.
You know, everything on the internet, I use Google, so all my passwords are saved on Google, but I can't get in there.
Well, I think,
Yeah, difficult.
like, department heads will have that system where they can get onto, but we got to limit the amount of personal communication.
Yeah, so.
Sounds good. So we'll just continue to work on that and have some other eyes on it. Does anybody out on the, that's listening to us on Zoom have any questions or inputs? You can all answer at once.
So are we just leaving the vacation thing? What are we?
I would say go to the 1st of January, or go back to 6 months on it, like we discussed here 15 minutes ago.
That motion?
Yes.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
So when targeting the union, is that something Paul tells them, or you don't need to tell them, or how do we?
Paul.
Okay.
That's fine. He's our negotiator.
Yep, I'll take it from here.
Okay, sounds good.
So maybe next week.
Sure.
Putting that on the internet policy, but yeah, but it's important. We just
It is,
make sure that we protect our system, so. Rather do it right once and redo it 3 times.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you so much. Nobody has questions for Paul.
No,
He's
they
gonna,
said it all sounds good.
okay. Thank you, Paul.
All right, thank you. Take care.
You too. See you, Paul.
All right.
Roxanne? She's not, oh, she's not coming?
No, Mary said she wasn't able to make it.
Oh, I thought she was just doing Zoom.
All right.
Thanks. Thanks, Adam.
She had home, she had to visit and other things.
So we're gonna move at just the next week's agenda. And a review of interview. And there's any other business that need to be brought forward today? We miss anything? That moves we adjourn. Second. Okay, now on this.
What do you do? What if there's a tie? No, yay.
motion.
I suppose we table till next week.
Oh, till you get 3 guys?
Okay. What is hell? Yeah, if we come to a stalemate, yeah, curious. Okay.